What up, everybody? My name is Galson Anthony, the best to ever do it. And this is my first episode of the podcast. I've not figured out the name, but I do have a special guest here who decided to give the name for me. Now, this special guest is not new to controversial. As a matter of fact, probably the most controversial person in South Africa, and I'll be talking to him, trying to get into in-depth, and make no mistake, I'm going to ask all the questions that's needed to be asked, and I want him to give me an answer. No other than La Vida Nota, right? La Vida Nota, or just Nota.
My name is Nhlamulo, which means the answer.
The answer to what?
Well, my parents' prayers, I guess.
All right. Then what does your last name mean?
Baloy. Mm-hmm. It's a clan name.
I believe it means the witchcraft, right?
No. That's Buloy. That's got nothing to do with my clan.
You sure?
Yeah, like the Baloy clan or the primary clan of the Tsonga people.
Because the way I hear it is like the answer to witchcraft.
No. Yeah, a lot of people do that. You know, I was teased when I was younger about that. But, I mean, like, when something is not true, it doesn't really affect me. So it's like, all right, cool, whatever.
You move on. Okay.
Yeah.
But now the first question I got to ask you, why are you controversial?
Why are you gay?
Why are you controversial?
I'm not controversial. It's just that we've got we've got a very backward society in South Africa. Very uneducated. Views have been inhibited for a long time. People don't practice freedom of speech within their own families. So, they delegate their thinking to other people, and rely too much on groupthink.
Are you blaming the society for not being aligned properly? Therefore, you're controversial?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
I'm not blaming the society.
Or
I'm just saying that, I'm trying to fix society, and therefore there's going to be some resistance.
So one podcast at a time. Here's my guess.
Yeah.
I think that you're controversial because you wanted to rap, weren't very good at rapping, so you decided, you know what, I'm going to do podcasts.
No, because, I mean, the jump from podcasting to when I was starting out rapping is like a very huge leap. I think I did my first podcast in 2019.
And when was your last time you rapped?
I mean, I rap all the time. Mm-hmm. So
I mean on wax, like having actual songs that you put out.
Well, maybe not put out, but like I do rap on songs. I do sing on songs. I do still compose music. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I wasn't good. It's because I was like too good. So
look, I don't believe that for a second, right?
Okay.
And here's why I don't believe it. So you were too good, yet you didn't put it out, right? And I think you started rapping in the early 2000s. Am I right? From the early 2000s?
96.
90s, right? And until now, we don't have anything that we can say, okay, this is him. So as a rapper, you're very self-expressive, right? So I'm guessing you did the same thing on raps, but never put anything out. But between that time and podcasting, we could say when podcast came in, this was your opportunity to shine. Is that what you're trying to do?
I could do it through wax, and I've done it through wax. It's just that I needed to build an industry. I needed to build a market. And me being the only primary artist that's out there in the market was not really conducive to actually building a broader market. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could have made myself a young AKA or Nasty C or whatever. I can rap just as good or right.
You say you could have, but why didn't you?
Because I was building a market. So I'd rather invest my time in upskilling those who've got maybe similar talent.
All right,
but
so
don't
these people that have similar talents, name them, the market that you built for. Name them.
The entire South African hip-hop market. So, I mean...
So let me put it like this. Give me like
I don't want to make them more famous than I've already made them. Like, I don't want to mention their names anymore. It's like any time I mention their name, right now is the only time their names get mentioned. You understand what I'm saying?
So you would say that by mentioning their name, you kind of put them on again.
I don't want to put them on again.
Okay.
It's like I already put them on, and I already got burnt from putting people on, and they're not part of my family. You know what I mean? They're not at my Christmas parties when I'm with my aunts and uncles and everything else. They're not contributing to any funerals when I have to bury family members, even though they've got roofs over their heads and they've got shirts on their back that I paid for. So, I've done my bit. I've done my debt. I've paid my debt to society.
You paid your debt and all. So I want to actually interrogate you a little bit more. Right? So what we do know is that you've been here for a long time. Right?
34 years, yeah.
Get out of here. Now, you've been here long enough in the industry, right? So you've been mentored by some of the best or some of the legends that even the youngins might not know about. And there's a lot of celebrity names that you could just pop up and,
Yeah.
But here's the thing is that I'm having a lot of discussions with celebrities, right?
Okay.
And some of them say, hey, don't trust Nota. Some of them
Why
say,
would they say that?
Hang on. Some of them say don't trust Nota. Some of them would say Nota's a great guy. He's just misunderstood.
Okay.
Now help me with that. Why would some people say don't trust him, and why would other people say, you know what, he's misunderstood?
Well, I mean, I made myself famous, so I could understand the jealousy and the envy from people who needed other platforms, you know, television, radio, whatever it is, to make them famous. When they see someone who can make themselves famous at the drop of a hat, can disappear at the drop of a hat, you know, can reappear whenever he wants to, can go to prison and still have his stand pages, posting content on TikTok, getting hundreds and thousands of views, millions of likes. All of those kinds of things intimidate people. So, like, I understand why my detractors are the way they are, but there's nothing they can do to poison the image that I've created in people's
So you're
minds.
unkillable, image-wise.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Uncancelable.
And they kind of want to be you. Okay. I'll take a little bit
No,
of
they
that.
want to be themselves. They see
wanna be
me
themselves?
being myself,
Got you.
and they cannot be themselves, and that's what brings about the envy and the jealousy.
All right, so let me get into depth of what you're saying. So they're trying to be themselves but can't because they're limited by their own image, the monster that they created. They, for example, if they need a sponsor and they do a certain thing, the sponsor might retract, but you
Because
don't
they
have
need a
those
sponsor.
problems.
I don't need a sponsor.
Okay, you don't have that problem. So they've got a jealousy for that. Though there's a certain sense of envy. I
Yeah.
got that. Now you mentioned that you can get in and out of jail, do some videos. Let's speak about that.
No, I'm just saying I could remove myself from society, but still keep a presence.
Stay relevant.
Stay present.
All right, let's talk about jail. Why were you snitching?
I wasn't snitching.
I mean, you ended up in jail for snitching, basically.
Nah, I wasn't in jail for snitching. I
All
was
right,
in
so-
jail for, I was in jail for calling out people that were involved in the murder of someone who was part of a market that I helped build. And I felt that, you know, I was the only person who had the balls to say it, because I'm the only person who, if they try to take me out, there'll be serious consequences, you know. For
All right, so let's
any
slow,
and
let's,
everybody
let's
that
slow
could
it down
try
there.
to do that.
Now, I do want to know a little bit in depth to that, but just for the sake of some of the people that do not understand why you ended up in jail. So I'm going to mention his name because it's somebody that I've known, the late AKA. What I got to understand, or what people understand, is that you said KO's brother may have been involved.
I said is, not may have been. I said
Okay,
is.
is, right? Let's
Yeah.
be straightforward. Is involved with the assassination of AKA.
Yeah, and that KO is involved with his brother working with AK.
Okay, great. And then that took you to court, and then that was a
I didn't go to court.
Okay, what happened? Break that down.
Well,
for me.
they did whatever they had to do. They had high-priced lawyers. They were funded by whoever was sponsoring them. The people that sponsored the assassination sponsored the lawyers to try and silence me, also sent their own lawyers to try and silence me. And I said I will not be silenced. So they created like a sham little trial where I wasn't present. I was in a mental institution at the time, you know, so I could not even be present. I could not be a contemptor when I was not even aware that I was supposed to be in court in the first place. And then, yeah, they did whatever they had to do to get an interdict, an urgent interdict. You know what I mean? They paid whatever money. And then they said I violated the urgent interdict. They wanted me to
So
appear
there
in
must
court.
be a ramification for that. So
Yeah,
if I'm
so
getting,
it's a
if I'm
default
understanding this
ruling.
clear, if I'm getting this clear, you done snitched, all right, and you didn't pitch at the court with the summons, and therefore you didn't pitch. So that
No,
we're gonna-
I wasn't served with the summons.
You weren't served with the summons. All right, so because you didn't pitch, you're going to jail for transgressing the law. In that instant.
Contempt of court.
The contempt of
not,
court, right.
Adhering to a court order.
Okay, so this is how you ended up in jail, not because you were
Yeah.
talking smack.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So now, how do these people feel that now that you're in jail? How do you think about they feel? Because you're mentioning this is what they did. Certain people are behind funding this whole thing. And I want to know, how do you know all that information? Like, how does one man get that information from other people?
I've got intelligence operatives in my family. So I had intelligence of everything that they were trying to do. Even to the point of like, before I left Johannesburg to go to Cape Town, I recorded a podcast, The Highest Frequency, and I said, arrest will be made really soon. And within a space of maybe 2 weeks, after I said that and I recorded that podcast, I was in Cape Town, arrests were made, you know, because I knew that the arrests are going to be made when the intelligence are going to track who's going to track me down, because that's what they were doing. They were following me, seeing, okay, who's tracking down my nephew, right? The intelligence officers.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, who's tracking down my nephew? Okay, let's watch them, because they're tracking him down to try and silence him. We've already seen the legal action, the court action that they've tried. They've seen that they failed, so they might try to take him out. So let's just watch them, and that's how the first arrests were made.
So are you telling me that you are very plugged?
No, I'm just telling you that my family has been very involved in the liberation of this country. Not that I'm plugged.
All right. Instead of like covering that up, let me just actually take it to the side. So you ended up in jail. Now I know I personally try to look for you in jail, right?
Yeah, you looked at the wrong place.
Right. You owe me $200 actually. And so for those that don't know why I came up with this $200, there was a press release or report, excuse me, that says that you are an article, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a press release.
It wasn't a press. Okay, there was an article that said you are in Louis Cop.
Yeah.
Which is in Sunning Hill, Santon, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I live in Santon. Let me go down to Louis Cop. I actually took a little video driving down there. And then I get there, I say, I'm looking for Ntlamulo Baloy. They're like, we don't have that person. I'm like, of course, you know,
prisoner number 224254404.
At a different prison. But then when we got there, I was like, you know what, I'm going to pay some money to get some food stamps, you know, for you, checking out my boy and whatnot.
Thank you.
And then to find out, it's like, you're not there. It's like, no, he's definitely here. I saw this on Twitter. And I'm like, Nota, don't you know Nota? They're like, yeah, that guy that talks too much. That guy that never shuts up. So I'm like,
so everybody knows
that's him,
me,
right? Everybody knows you, even in prison. They were like, if he were here, we would know, right? It was that deep. I want my $200 back. But then why did the press release, or you say it was an article, say that you were in Louis Cop when you were actually at a different prison?
Yeah, because that's where I wanted the attention to be, in Louis Cop.
So you distracted even me. I fell for it.
Yeah, because I knew the sheriff was instructed to send me to Louis Cop, right? And it was overcrowded. But they'd think to themselves, oh, if this guy really wants to go to Louis Cop, let's send him to a prison that he doesn't want to go to. So I knew that they were going to send me to Sun City, which is where I had prepared people waiting for me with my bed, and all the arrangements had already been made. So, you know, that's what I wanted people to think. And also, the media is going to keep asking the prison warders, okay, is this person here? What, you know what I mean? All those questions are going to be fielded by the people that are not housing me, and therefore they won't be able to answer, and therefore they won't be able to write about anything else other than the fact that I've been arrested and taken to prison.
So that little clip that you have, was that in Sun City? Because I want to understand is
No, that was in Randburg Magistrates
That was
Court.
Randburg Magistrate. Because I was trying to figure out, how did you get your phone to the cell, take a video, and then turn it off? Because I only found out 2-3 days later that you were actually in jail.
Yeah, I was under the court. You know what I mean? That's where they send
the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where they send you. And then I shared the video with the blogosphere. And then whichever blogs got it decided to pick it up and take it on, so that, you know, people at least have video evidence. Because, you know, on social media, they don't believe it unless there's a video.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then, when I got to Sun City, I handed in my phone, you know, put it in the safe.
Like a good boy?
Well, like a compliant.
Like a compliant. I'm just
like
pulling a leg
a
here.
compliant, what do they call inmate? Yeah, like a compliant inmate. And yeah.
Now, here's the thing I want to ask. It says that you're supposed to be for 60 days.
Yeah.
I don't think you spent 2 weeks.
I did. I spent 18 days.
18 days, okay.
Yeah, but I should have spent 15.
You're supposed to spend 15, then you
I could have, because there was a decree that was...
Now, I think my question is, instead of doing the whole 60, why did you do a quarter of it?
Yeah, I'm explaining that. There was a decree by the president that said, you know, prisons that are overcrowded for non-violent criminals, they only need to serve 25% or a quarter of their sentence.
I see.
So that's why I wanted to go to Sun City, because I knew that prison was overcrowded, whereas Louis Cop is not as overcrowded.
Oh, I
Had
see.
I been sent to Louis Cop, I would have spent the entire 60 days there.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing about you. You've got some information that what I'd like to go
Other
into.
people don't understand,
yeah.
and they don't know. Yeah, so that's exactly why I did. I planned everything.
Okay.
I even said, like, a year before I was arrested, a year and a half, in March, when I was in Cape Town, the last podcast that I did, they deleted it, you know, because they're under pressure, because the guy just had a baby, you know what I mean? And he's just scared. Someone said, hey, take this episode down. I said, yo, I'm going to do my bid. I'm going to come out a martyr. You understand what I'm saying? And don't think that they're not waiting for me out there in prison. I got people in prison. Dog, my family's from Soweto. Sun City Prison is right next to Soweto.
That's slightly
Almost
outside
all
of Soweto,
males
right?
in Soweto that get involved in some mischief end up there. I got uncles that have been ending up in and out of there my whole entire life, my whole entire existence. So, you know, I got family inside there.
You know what you sound like? You sound like, you know, in the United States, this one group of people, the black people, that are so obsessed. I go to prison. I know I'm covered. Nobody's going to touch me in prison. I ain't afraid to go back to jail. You kind of sounding like that. Is there a sense of gangster, like blood in you? Is there a gangster vein in you?
Not in me, because my mother and my father took their sons out of that situation, but that wasn't the same for my cousins and my uncles.
You're still not answering the question.
I just answered the question. I
So,
said, not in me.
not in you.
Because my
Right.
parents made sure that we grew up out of that situation. We didn't have to get into that. We didn't grow up in Soweto. But that's not the same for my cousins and my uncles who grew up in Soweto and were
All right.
part of that life.
Letting that go, let me ask you something a little bit more about your opinion on something.
Yeah.
More recently, I do not know the name of the person. He done snuffed his wife or girlfriend, right?
Which one? The one I was in prison with?
No. This is
Okay.
actually outside
Okay.
the people you're in prison with. It's something that happened over the TikTok videos and whatever's happening.
Okay.
He took a video of himself and then he
Yeah.
committed suicide.
Yeah.
What I got to understand of that story is that a girl met a guy. He didn't really want him. Had some money. He provided for her accordingly. Cheated, got pregnant, came back, and then snuffed her because she got some RAF funds. It's like, I don't need him no more. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I heard about the story. The
Right.
Spusiso story.
That's the person's name,
whatever.
right? What do you think of that situation?
Well, I mean, like, if paternity fraud was punishable by death, we wouldn't have such situations because the state would take care of that. You know what I mean? All the women that falsely, accuse people of being the fathers of their children would then get taken to the gallows and they'd be executed. And then, that problem would be done with.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you would endorse something of that sort. So given
Well,
that you
I'd endorse that it would be legalized.
legalize, yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't endorse people taking the law into their own hands. But because there are no laws that protect them, they take the law into their own hands. So I've got empathy for those men.
So I don't want to misquote you or like put words into your mouth in this instance. So how do you feel about the fact that he took the law into his hands and snuffed the girl himself?
Yeah, that's stupid. That's a weak nigga.
All right, now let's take it from this side,
Yeah.
right? Now, the girl decided to play the guy. Used him for the money, the resources, lied about paternity, and now she's gone. How do you feel about it from that angle?
Well, I mean, one less problem. Yeah.
Explain further, expand.
I mean, she's not going to do that to another nigga now.
So which leads me to the next part where I want to speak about, are you an abusive man yourself?
No, I
Tell
don't
me
need
about
to be.
tell me about you and your wife. Why did you break up from your perspective?
Well, I mean, she was trying to run game on me. She didn't come from the best backgrounds and she thought she could marry her way up. And then when she realized that, marrying someone, you actually have to love them and serve them and be one with them, she decided she didn't want to be one with the controversy that I came with because, I'm still involved in the struggle to liberate my people from the mental enslavement that they suffer from currently. And she didn't want to be a part of that, coming from a background where there's so much repression that such people get taken out. You know what I mean? She came from Zimbabwe. She comes from Bulawayo, which is not even supposed to be part of Zimbabwe in the first place, and the people there are supposed to be fighting for their own independence and self-determination as Mtwagazis, which is a separate nation from the Shona-dominated
I don't want
Zimbabwe.
us to go there. I wanted to narrow down to,
It's actually really complex because, all those traumas that she grows up with, knowing that her uncles were killed in massacres, her aunts were bludgeoned to death, all of those things that happened in her history are internalized because these are the stories that make up her upbringing. She was also raised by her grandmother, not with her parents as well. And children that are raised by their grandmothers, they don't get that parental love and attention that they're supposed to get. And by the time they end up living with their parents, their personalities have already been defined. They're 7, 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever the case may be. And that was the situation with her. So she just wasn't cut out to be married to Stokely Carmichael. That's exactly what I said on a podcast while we were still married and still together. I said, I'm Stokely Carmichael, she's Mira Makeba. How long did that marriage last?
not too
4
long.
years.
Yeah.
How long did
Okay,
my marriage
so,
last?
But
How long did my marriage last?
how long?
4 years. So do you understand what I'm saying? Is
Right.
that I saw the whole entire play. I knew that we weren't going to be together forever. Otherwise, I would have had children with her.
Why did you get married in the first place? But I want to add to the question then from the perspective of everybody else. Why then were you abusive? Is it connected to what you believe is they think is controversial about you, so therefore you're abusive?
Yeah,
Or
that's it.
is that it?
That's it.
That's that.
There's no allegation that I swore at her. There's no allegation that I raised my voice at her. There's no allegation that, I did anything abusive to her at all. It's just that they want to paint me as an abuser because they feel like, oh, that's something that we could use to bring him down. And,
So now that you're no longer married, do you think it affects how you see women?
No, I won't let one bad apple spoil the entire orchard.
So she's the bad apple.
I mean,
You're not the bad apple. She is.
of course.
Explain to me why is she the bad apple. I understand you just gave
She
me a
wasn't
whole-
loyal to the marriage.
She was not loyal
she
to the
went.
marriage.
She was the one who filed for divorce. I did not file for divorce. I stuck to my vows, and therefore I'm the one who is honorable. I'm the one who did not lie to God. You understand? So when I said till death do us part, I meant it. She didn't. She's the bad apple. It's as obvious as that. It's as simple as that. She didn't make any effort to try and reconcile. She didn't make any effort to stick true to her vows. I made each and every single effort, and
Look,
she didn't.
If I'm going to have to take some time to work with you on this, it is true that women do all the filing of the divorce. Well, most of the filing.
70% in most cases.
Yeah, that's the American stats. This is not the South African stats, right? So everybody's working with American stats. With South Africa, it might be similar or even worse, right? Because South African men in general just don't have the courage, the funds, the will to do that filing, except in the upper echelons of the men, right?
Well, I mean, like another thing that stops men from filing is that if you file, then you know you're most likely to lose your assets as the person who's filing for divorce. It's easier to fight to keep your assets if you're not the one filing.
Well, that's not neither here or there, but what I do know is that because you're filing, the lawyers are going to make sure that they work on your case as long as possible so they can put the monies in their pockets.
Yeah.
So yes, it is a loss more to the man than it is in the woman in general. But do you think that given all these things, you got divorced and
I'm a divorcee.
you're a divorcee, you're on literally every podcast the past 5 years. Do you think that you are misunderstood?
No.
You're not misunderstood.
No.
So you curating your image correctly.
Yeah.
Here's why I think you're misunderstood. The person that I'm talking to on the podcast and the person I'm talking to in person, they're completely different people, and the people that I actually watch on the podcast.
Really?
I'd like to, you are actually a sweet guy. All right? You actually
On the
a sweet-
podcast as
No,
well?
you're not sweet on the podcast.
Why?
Get out of here. No, you actually, I think you are great at curating, which is genius. Not many people have that.
Okay.
You're great at curating how your life and how people should see you. I think that you become controversial as far as a character is concerned. So much so that when you walk into a mall, everybody, I don't want to hear nothing about Nota. The moment they see Nota, oh my God, it's Nota, right? It's like, what happened to you hating him? So I've noticed that they love to hate you.
Yeah.
You know, and hate to love you.
Yeah.
You have that kind of image. Now the question is, because why do you think that is so? Do you think you've had the full control of curating all that, or did it just happen by accident?
No, I didn't want to build myself up to be this, saintly type character, because then they could use that against me at some point in time as soon as they find one inkling of, inconsistency. So that's it. And also to protect myself. I don't like people feeling like they can just be buddy-buddy with me. You know what I mean? I like to keep that distance. It's like, yo, that's a crocodile. That's a lion. That's a tiger. That's a shark. Don't play with that.
So you don't mind
Approach.
being misunderstood because that's being understood.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, before we talk about the whole TV thing, let's talk about you, because this podcast is about you.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself a genius? You consider yourself smart?
I consider myself a very fast learner.
One thing I noticed about you, you've got an impeccable memory. It's impeccable.
It has to be, because I learn so much at such a pace that, if I don't retain the knowledge, then it escapes me. So what I do as a trick is that I try to assign meaning to all the information that I take in. And I try to assign...
Oh, yeah, I know. I think most of the times we've met at my house, right? And considering you said that you're from a background where there's sort of like spy background.
Yeah, well,
can I put it that
in
way?
my mother's side of the family, yeah.
All right.
I
think that's the wrong word, but
No, well, I mean, yes. The first thing that my uncle did when he came back was work for the National Intelligence Agency.
Okay, great enough, right? And I noticed that your observancy is very high, because the moment you walk around my house, you're looking for something. This which connects me to say, do not trust Nota. He looks for information, right? So all that and your memory bank, right? And like the investigative side of you, memory bank. Do you use that as, projecting some of your intelligence to the people, like show them this is why I'm intelligent?
No.
I mean, given all this information you have as well.
Yeah, I don't try to project it, but
Projecting has always been used negatively.
Yeah.
It's not used
No,
in the
I'm
negative.
just saying it's not a deliberate thing. It's, that's how I was raised. Like, I was socially engineered since I was a child. So, you know what I mean? I was raised by spies. So, that's how they're going to raise you.
Now, speaking of which, that you're telling this story, one time I heard you say on a podcast, about your dad. Now, I might misquote you. You said something about your dad voting for the ANC and you were only 4 and you questioned him, why did you vote for the ANC?
Yeah.
You were 4.
Yeah, so
You were 4. Please explain to us, how did you tell your dad about the state, the current state of affairs at that time and his choices? Did you learn about the ANC since you were like 2 months? Like, tell us more.
Since I started speaking, but it was just a confused child. So people misinterpreted that whole entire thing.
All right, then
As
clear
a
it up for me.
4-year-old, I didn't know that the ANC was Nelson Mandela's party. I thought Nelson Mandela and the ANC are 2 separate things. So that's why I was saying to my dad, why did you vote for the ANC? You should have voted for Mandela. And my dad laughed. And I left it at that. It's like, people didn't get it. It's like, duh, obviously he voted for the ANC. That's Nelson Mandela.
Here's my thing. This is why I can't just take that and move on. It's that I got a son. He's going to turn 4 in about a couple months.
Okay.
Sure as hell, he can't even articulate himself well enough to figure out what is just going on in the house, right?
Okay.
Now you talking about politics. That's
Yeah.
a whole different level.
Okay.
I mean, there's people in their 30s and 40s and don't even understand politics like that.
Yeah.
You talking about 4. Now,
Yeah.
I grasp that your memory has been good through time.
I've been speaking since,
Right. I can
before I
grasp
was 2
that.
years old.
But 4, do you understand the level of incredibleness for one to understand in that 4? Remember, there was TV.
There was lots
You
of
couldn't read newspapers at the time, could you?
I could read.
You could read?
Yeah.
All right, but you couldn't understand everything you're reading.
I could read and understand everything,
right?
yeah.
They had radio, traditional radio, and that was that. There was no social media. There was
There
was
had
no
Mnet.
social media.
Okay, there wasn't social media,
There was
but
no
we had Mnet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was part of TV, but I'm
Yeah.
saying you couldn't have had information disposed to you like that to be
I did.
able to. How? Explain to me.
Through reading, I could read. Yeah.
So your daddy would buy
I could
some
read
newspapers.
I'd read the newspapers and make sense of it. So my sister was 10. She was 6 years older than me. So she was starting to do reading lab. They just introduced the reading lab, and reading lab was this new comprehension test that came in from Australia. So that my sister was doing that. So whatever my sister was doing, I was doing as well. Whatever my sister was doing at school.
Give me context. How old is
6 years
your
older.
sister?
She's
6
an
years
84,
older.
yeah.
Okay.
She's an 84, I'm a 1990. So I was just keeping up with my sister. You know what I mean? And that's it. My sister was really great at school. My sister's like got a PhD and 2 master's degrees right now. You know, my sister is the head of the Just Energy Transmission Commission or whatever.
So what are your PhDs?
I have none. My
What's your
sister got
master's?
all, I've got none. I dropped
Okay.
out 3 times.
What is your IQ?
It was off the chart when I measured it.
Come on, get out of here. with
Yeah,
that.
I
Off
was
the chart.
like, I
You know-
started doing my IQ test when I was 4 as well.
Okay, so when you say off the charts, you
It was off the
understand-
charts for a
You understand
4-year-old.
someone for a 4-year-old. Look,
So I haven't
for
done
me-
IQ tests for a long time. I think the last time I did an IQ test, it's been a long time. Probably 97. Yeah, it is 1997. I was still off the chart then.
Tell you what, let me put you on a challenge.
Yeah.
Go do an IQ test,
Yeah.
and bring it back. Make it a public
Okay,
record.
cool. Yeah.
Because I see you like making a lot of stuff public records.
Yeah.
Do that. Let's people get to know Nota for who he really is.
Yeah, I'll
Because
put
it's
it on
actually
my
more to
bio.
you.
I'll put my
In your
IQ
bio,
score
right?
in my bio.
Okay. Moving on. You live
Yeah.
in New York?
I lived, yeah.
Okay, you lived in New York. Why are you going back? What's happening there?
I'm
that you gotta live
continuing
there?
life there. Yeah, because I was moving my record label to there. Yeah.
Are you rich?
No,
And then how you gonna move to New York if you're not rich?
I worked hard, so I've got means.
Tell me about those means.
They come from, the success I've had in building hip hop, composing, releasing, and writing the 2 best-selling songs in South African music history.
Remind us what they are.
The second best-selling song is a song called Ngut.
Love that song, by the way.
Kwesta and Casper Nyovest. And then the best-selling song is a song called Ngiyazifela Ngawe, Kwesta and Tapsi. Yeah.
Okay, so you say you got means, right? I'm trying to dig into these means. So you're gonna fly to New York. I mean, a plane from here to New York is what?
13,000 Rand return on Emirates.
On Emirates? Man, I'm
13K.
paying a lot more, and it's not even like business class.
Yeah, it's economy, 13,000 Rand.
13,000?
Yeah, 14,000 on United Airlines.
Well,
as
you got to
return.
give me the plug because I'm paying a hell of a
Yeah,
lot
if you
more.
fly to Newark, it's like 14,000 Rand. It's not
You
that
fly
much.
to Newark or New York?
Newark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you fly to Jersey first, and then how do you get to New York?
On
from
the
there?
train, dog. You
On the
take-
train.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take the subway.
You take the air train to the train station, and then you take the Amtrak to Penn Station, and then you take the subway, bro.
Okay, yeah, the thing about these interstate subs. Okay,
Yeah.
now here's a question which comes down to it. It's like, but living in New York is probably the top 5 most expensive cities in America.
Yeah.
How do you afford living there?
It doesn't really cost that much. It costs maybe, let's say, $4,000 a month.
$4,000 a month. If we have to round off, it's $80,000.
rent a month.
Okay, living there.
Yeah.
All right. This is you eating? Is this including eating?
Yeah, I eat groceries. I buy groceries. I cook.
Buy groceries.
I cook.
Now, 1,500, 2,000 for a decent apartment in Manhattan. You said you lived in Harlem, right? Harlem, right? That's more or less the price that you would go for.
On 112th Street.
112, right? So
And
that's
8th Ave, or
so
112th and Frederick Douglass.
all right.
Way.
So that's pricey.
That's Central
That's
Park
where
West. Central Park West.
The Clintons stay somewhere around there, right? So now explain. Am I correct?
Hey man, it's a nice side of Harlem.
Right. I know that side of the city. Right. So now here's the question: is that, I mean, you getting like a 40, 50 square meter apartment, you paying $2,000. How are you surviving on that $2,000?
I got networks, I got friends, I got homies. We put our money together, we live together, and we make it work.
Because here, the reason why I'm asking is two reasons. Like, one, I'm trying to figure out what kind of bag you make to be able to live there, right? Right? Because you're telling me off the success of the songs, right? So I don't know if it's royalties. I don't know if I understand somebody.
I also am involved in a lot of acquisition of catalogs. That I represent. So
okay. So what is the goal as far as living in New York? Are you trying to push some more music? Are you trying to push the South African market there?
Well,
or trying to do your own thing?
I mean, you can see the private equity firms are all up in acquiring rights and all that type of stuff. So that's where the capital for those types of business deals are sourced. And I want to ensure that I'm able to create a funnel so that the capital is invested with ethical people, so that we're not recolonized by having Westerners or Zionists in particular take control of our intellectual property in the same way that they've done with Americans, and in the same way that we've seen being done with American hip-hop. I mean, Diddy, owned by Zionists, you know what I mean? Lucian Grange was able to send his son over to Warner, fire Julie Greenwald, you know what I mean? And now Elliot Grange is going to be running half of Bad Boy. Jay-Z is still under Universal. Drake.
I want to avoid taking it that far, right? And I want to get as macro as possible. So I understand that you're saying you have a social responsibility, right?
Yeah, to protect African intellectual property.
Everything about your life actually says that. Like, I've got a social responsibility. I want to protect my people. I want to educate my people. I want to give them a little bit of my side of the story so they can see, right? But let's get all that into a macro sense, right? So you want to make sure that you have your social responsibility fulfilled. And I guess you want to do that starting in New York, right? But now take it to a macro level. Say, I'd like to do A, B, C. I have a plan of taking it from 1, 2, 3. Give us why Nota is being Nota.
Okay, listen,
Because
I
you
can't
just
tell you the
widely
plan. I
misunderstood.
cannot tell you the strategy. What I can tell you is this. Jay-Z is owned by Lucian Grange. Kanye West is owned by Lucian Grange. Drake is owned by Lucian Grange. Kendrick Lamar is owned by Lucian Grange. J. Cole is owned by Lucian Grange. Right? All of these people speak. All of these people have done whatever it takes to create some controversy around their new music, right? To bring themselves to relevance again, right? These are the top 5 people most prominent in hip-hop, right? Nicki Minaj also included in their honorable mention, but she's not involved in the fight.
So I'm guessing that if you're gonna
So-
mention like a Jay-Z, I'm guessing you're gonna mention all these people in these record label. If you're gonna mention Nicki Minaj, I'm guessing you're mentioning everybody that was part of that. Birdman, Lil Wayne, Drake.
So
'Cause
now
I see how you packaging them.
they're trying to take back ownership in Universal. That's what they're trying to do. That's why Drake has got a lawsuit against Universal right now, which also implicates Spotify. So they're trying to take ownership back, but they cannot do it overtly, and they cannot come together because then people are going to fire them. So
my issue
what you're
is-
seeing right now, let me explain it,
All right.
is that they're trying to fire back at them. So they get Diddy in prison. They put some trumped up charges on Hove. They made Ye look like a lunatic. They cancelled Drizzy with that Kendrick pedophile allegations,
A
Dart,
minor, yeah.
You know what I mean? Dart himself is inside the system acting like he's with the man, but meanwhile, he's also, through his content, conscientizing black people. So he's trying to raise them up spiritually, right? While the business battle is happening in the background. And that's why you're seeing...
Is that where you trying to place yourself? Because my frustration with
I'm
your
trying to
answer-
stop us from suffering the same fate so that we don't have to go through that same process. The process that Jay-Z, Diddy, Kanye West, Drake, J. Cole are going through right now is to fight for ownership of intellectual property.
All right,
and that's
bring
what caused...
bring that in the context of South Africa.
I cannot bring it in the context of South Africa because then I'll give away too much of my plan. And this is a deadly plan. This is how they killed Michael Jackson. You understand what I'm saying? And what happened to Michael Jackson? His ownership in Sony ATV has been taken back as Sony Music Publishing, and his estate has given back the rights to Sony, sold it for $600 million, and his mother could not stop them, even though she's supposed to be the one who is the inheritor.
Owner, yeah.
But the executors of his estate are the Jewish lawyers, the Zionists. So Michael Jackson fought this fight, conscientized these young rappers. All of them. He spoke to them.
Would you be mad if people thought of you as too much of a conspiracist, and that is not really happening in South Africa? Because the thing is, you're not giving me the plan, strategy, and the names.
Where's
here.
Lucky Dube? Where's Brenda Fassie? We don't have those. Where's Hugh Masekela? Where's Miriam Makeba? We don't have them.
Okay, we've got Tyler, right? Who else we got?
That's one of my signings.
Okay, granted, I've heard that a couple times. We've got Nasty C. You want to?
No.
All right.
He's not one of my signings.
We got Casper.
Yeah.
We got...
He's the guy I gave the biggest hit of his career.
The plug that you referred to.
I plugged him.
We got Questa. Now, why are you not mentioning it in a macro sense that in South Africa?
Yeah.
And you keep mentioning to the other side. Is that our frustration is that all that conspiracy, right?
Well, all
And
that knowledge is
it-
not with the artists in South Africa.
Okay.
Jay-Z's got that knowledge. Kanye's got that knowledge.
Right.
Drake's got that knowledge. Kendrick's got that knowledge. J. Cole's got that knowledge. Our South African artists are not politically astute.
Okay.
The only artist that we had that was politically astute is the one that got taken out.
And that is?
AKA.
Okay, granted.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's
if
the
you
only
don't-
partner
if you
I
don't-
could have in this fight. And
So-
he's dead now. So I'm left all alone. So the only way for them to defeat my fight is to kill me. So if I tell you my strategy, I'll tell them how to kill me.
Okay, granted. I'll take that. So if Nota does not intervene in the next couple of months or years, or is not intervening currently, what could happen to the industry? What do you see?
All our intellectual property, all our wealth, the wealth that is more valuable than anything that's beneath our soil, more valuable than all our minerals, our actual human capital, our culture, is going to be owned by these Zionists, by these big corporations.
And these corporations are Anglo-related.
They're all Zionist owned. It's Lucian Grange at the top. He's a Zionist. It's Rob Stringer at the top of Sony. He's a Zionist. It's Len Blavatnik at the top. He's Ukrainian Zionist.
We're getting into the second part of everything.
Okay.
And as always, I want to jump into it. But before I do, this podcast actually does not have a name, right?
Yeah.
And then before we started, I said, look, it doesn't have a name, and you are great at giving names. And what did you call it?
Yeah, I rethought the name. I called it The Real G, but I think G2Gs is good.
G2Gs.
Yeah.
It's a thought. It's a thought because if I'm going to have to post it at some point, I got to give it a name.
Yeah,
right?
it's G2Gs.
G2G. So I'm going to give you some sort of credit if I do decide to call it
All
G2G.
your Gs are watching right now.
All the real Gs are watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you're the big G, the greatest
right.
of all.
The best to ever do it, Galston Anthony.
Yeah.
So now, speaking of podcasts, why are you on so many podcasts? If there's a podcast marathon, you want it. If you have to go through the podcast Hall of Fame, that's you. Why are you on so many podcasts?
Because I'm employing the same strategy I did with rap and hip hop, is that I'm building up the industry as a whole. I feel like South Africa's got the potential to be like the podcast mecca for the black diaspora, all over the world. We've got a population of 51 million blacks. We've probably got 7 million more blacks here than the 44 million blacks in the United States of America. So we're a bigger market, slightly, There's as many whites in South Africa as there are blacks in the United Kingdom. So that's not a prospect. They cannot do it over there.
What is your beef with MacG?
No, I don't have a beef with Mac.
You sure?
No, I don't have a beef with Mac. I could never have a beef with Mac. I would never be insecure enough to beef with someone that I helped mold into what he is today. So, you know what I mean? It's like beefing with your kid. When the kid is going to become a teenager and be rebellious, and he's in his rebellious phase, he's being a teenager.
What happened with the beef? Because he and I'm not trying to speak down on him because I have to first meet the person to speak up or down on him, right?
Well, you could only speak down on him because he's like a midget.
He is pretty short, but that's the only way I'm speaking down on him. I think I need to be a one-to-one person, to actually, to judge a character. But what is your beef with him?
I don't have a beef.
Is it because I've noticed he's got a sneakiness around him, and so do you.
No.
You don't have the same type of sneakiness.
I'm not sneaky. I'm upfront. I'm frank.
You're upfront, but there's like an investigative thing about you. Did you go and
Yeah.
do that investigating thing and blah blah blah?
No,
Said
no.
some things and now he's mad at you.
Nah, I didn't.
Then what happened?
I would never, because that's the thing, is that, you know, I know his place, and his place is to be part of the thing that I'm building, as, you know.
So he's gonna be further empowered by you
Yeah.
if he just stays where he is.
Yeah, if he just stays where he is, and that's it. He knows which line not to cross.
What line is that?
And no, he knows.
What
He
line
knows.
is that? I want to know.
He knows which line not to cross. He knows which line not to cross. That's why he straddles close to it to see if I'll break or if and I won't respond.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So all these things you talking doesn't phase you.
no.
Okay. You got bigger plans.
I mean, he talks shit all the time about people, you know what I mean? And they get really mad at him and whatever and all that type of shit. Like, you know, so when he talks shit about me, I can't be emotional about it because I know that's his brand. That's how he makes his bread and butter. And so he can keep doing that. He can keep talking shit about me. But, you know, I've built myself up to such an enigmatic, not an enigma.
Listen to you, enigmatic.
I built myself up to such an enigmatic character that even when he talks shit about me, he knows that his own fans call him out all in the comments. You know what I mean?
Since you're using a lot of sesquipedalians, which basically means
Yeah.
long words or words characterized by lots of syllables.
Yeah.
What is your skirmish with Stogie T?
Stogie T. Well, Stogie T is a Nepo baby.
Okay, so why are you mad at that?
Well, I mean, our families have got the same background.
So why are you mad at him?
Because he's misusing that
How is he
privilege.
misusing? Tell me more.
He's
I want
not
to
part of the
understand.
struggle. He's not part of the struggle like I am. He's
Okay.
not fighting to liberate anybody. He's just fighting to empower himself and elevate himself. As if he's
So,
some god
I will-
of rap. He's never sold a gold record. He's never sold a platinum record. You know, himself. Like the By Any Means, that was released by Ambitious. Yeah. That's why it's
I'ma
even on
put it like
Ambitious's YouTube channel. Like
Yeah, and I get it. These numbers come from the YouTube side of things. I get it.
No. I'm just saying it was released by Ambitious.
By Ambitious, yeah, no, I'm familiar with Ambitious and how they
Josi,
work
yeah.
and the whole
That's my
machine.
brother.
I know Josi. We know each other personally as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of the people that you know in the industry. I know them
Yeah.
too, right?
I mentored Josi about the record business as well.
A word?
Yeah.
I can give him a call and ask about it.
Right now.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll give him a call.
Yeah.
Josi, if you get a call from me, know that I'll be filming it and asking you questions. So
Yeah,
look
yeah.
out for that call.
Yeah, I'm also on his.
So-
I'm also on his TV show. He's got a TV show called Heavy Hitters.
A word? Oh yes, I know about the
Yeah,
TV
so
show.
I was on season 1, and I'm on season 2 as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
but before I get into Josi, let's get back to Stogie. So y'all are basically from a similar background,
Yeah.
right? Both parents went to exile.
No, my parents didn't go to exile.
They didn't go
my
to exile?
uncles went to exile. My parents stayed here. My parents were here helping people like his parents get to exile.
Right.
Yeah, they were
And
like hosts,
you say-
having a halfway house in Soweto. So even the former premier of the country, of the province, sorry, why am I saying the country? I guess Gauteng is a country.
Don't give me all
David
that information.
Makura,
Let's
yeah.
narrow it down, right? So I'm trying to get to the place where you say he wasn't part of the struggle.
He's not part of the struggle right now.
And what struggle are you talking about? The
The
industry,
struggle
like,
continues.
the struggle in the
No, to
industry.
liberate South Africans, black
South
South Africans in
Africans
the main, yeah.
in the industry. The thing is,
Not
you
in the
can't-
industry.
All right,
In
so-
general.
so
the
you-
industry's
are you
got
a
influence on
politician?
culture. Well, I guess I am.
Okay, so he's not a politician.
No, he is. He's the child of a politician.
He's a child of a politician. I'm a child
And
of an
therefore-
engineer. It doesn't make me an engineer.
Okay, cool.
Although I've got my-
engineering is different.
yeah?
Engineering is different. You know what I mean? Politics is a social study.
Right.
Yeah. Well, a social
So
science.
would I be a politician because I've got very deep social studies?
You could be, if you were to engage in the politics. He's not engaging in the politics. It's like the story of the talents in the Bible is like he's got the talent. You know, he's got the family history, everything that could.
Are you saying he's the one that dug it up and put it underground,
Exactly.
as opposed to the person that went to go double it?
You understand?
But I think he did, right? So, okay, let me make the disclosure. I know Stogie, right? We've
Yeah.
got a good relationship. However,
I know him as well. I've known
however-
him since I was 18.
yeah,
And I was teaching him about politics.
So
I
he-
taught him
he-
about the Gini coefficient,
So
the
he's
fact
about
that South
10
Africa was going to become one of the most unequal countries in the world. We're about to overtake Brazil in terms of our inequality.
How is okay? So before
How
we
did I
speak
know all
about
that stuff?
before we speak about
I was taught by my
how
sister.
is South Africa unequal, because I've
Yeah.
always had this
Gini
discussion.
coefficient, that's the,
Right.
the
we'll
measurement.
cover that, right? So we look at someone like Stogie, right? He put a couple of people on.
No,
He did.
no.
All right. So what about Nasty? On
How
the
did he
record?
put him on?
What the feature?
No,
What
no,
about-
no, no.
what
That was
about-
DJ Switch's song.
Yeah.
That's it. That was
Yeah, that was
DJ
DJ
Switch's
Swi-
song. And who gave DJ Switch his first record? Me, nigga. Come
All right.
on.
So you telling me at that
I
time
put DJ
you-
Switch on.
Are you saying DJ Switch?
Yeah.
Is the reason why Nasty's on?
Yeah.
And not
dude,
Stogie.
Dude.
What about the
I
what's
put
the-
DJ Switch on in cahoots with Cypher. Cypher was also, he went to the same school as my sister.
Right.
The National School of the Arts. Very involved.
Look, I
in
disagree
music
with
production.
you here in so many ways, right?
Yeah.
Because what's that? I keep forgetting his guy, the Cape Townian rapper.
Youngster CPT.
Youngster CPT.
Yeah.
Was that not Stogie?
No, that wasn't Stogie. That was Stogie was trying to put Youngster CPT on, featuring on. But Stogie is no way. He doesn't sell records. He can't put anyone on.
But him
Do you understand
selling
what I'm saying?
records has nothing to do with putting people on. This has nothing to do with him being part of the struggle. I think your argument here
It does.
is
It
that
does.
him
Can I
being
tell you
called
why?
a goat.
No.
Yeah?
It does. Because you're not moving the people. You understand what I'm saying? You're not moving the people.
Right.
You're using the fact that you've got connections in media to elevate yourself. You can be written about in newspapers because you're well connected with the editors, the writers, the journalists to elevate yourself. But you're not putting people on. He didn't start Lee Club. My cousin was part of the founders of Lee Club. You understand, where Stogie used to rap. So that's my family already having a history within hip hop. This is 1997. I was 7 years old at the time. You understand? My cousin was the first rapper to release a solo a rap album in South Africa.
Who's your cousin?
Specs. He had the first hip hop show on South African radio.
Right.
Yes.
I think I do know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He had the first hip hop show on South African radio, on Raw Radio, back in the day, before there was these hip hop radio shows that are there today.
There was a time of mischief.
Yeah.
That was that time,
Yeah,
right?
it was that time.
See, I know my history.
Yeah, real Msawawa hip hop for sure. Hizzo. You know what I mean? He coined that phrase, as in South African hip hop is Hizzo. You know what I mean? So, dude.
Right. Let's end it on a high note.
Thank
I'd like
you.
to have another conversation with you later to
Yeah,
understand
please.
what issues you have with
Bring some bitches, please.
Mom, I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy.
I'm being for real. Like, at least let us have some bitches around. You know
All
what I
right,
mean?
I'll make sure that they like shaking the
You know
background
what I
and
mean?
whatnot.
Something. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, let me chill a bit. Because right now we're too serious. It's just men talking. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That's it.
On that note, guys, make sure that whatever the name of this podcast is, please subscribe, tell people about it. Make sure that it goes all over your guys' social media. Any questions you need me to ask him or anybody else you want me to interview, please do let me know. Nota, thank you so much.
Follow Nota's Wisdom on TikTok.
Do not follow Nota.
Yeah, don't follow me. Follow Nota's Wisdom on TikTok. That's a stand page. And shout out to the homeboy that's running that page. He's actually from my girlfriend's hometown.
You got, you know what? What do you know about me? How much do you know about me? Since you know about everybody.
On the next episode of G2Gs.
G2G.